Discounted tickets. Please email Christian@LincolnStars.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Welcome into the locker room, the most sacred of spaces in sports. Talking you through the behind-the-scenes conversations that happen behind closed doors. With former Nebraska football tight end Chancellor Brewington.
Chancellor Brewington, the 6-year senior tight end, finding his way into the end zone.
And former South Dakota State running back and Nebraska football assistant Mikey Daniel.
Hand off to Daniel inside the 2 to the 1, and he powers his way into the end zone for a South Dakota State touchdown.
This is The Locker Room, brought to you by Pep Foundation Repair. Here are your hosts, Chancellor Brewington and Mikey Daniel.
Yes, welcome into the locker room here on 93.7 The Ticket for a Thursday edition of the locker room. Mikey Daniel is out, but Chancellor Brewington is in to answer the question, why is it always Nebraska? And much more coming up with Chancellor. Chancellor, I'll throw it to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm Chancellor Brewington, like my man over there, Box said. Usually with me is Mikey Daniel, but he's not here. Usually Tuesday and Thursday is just me and Bach. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we got Mikey in the studio, but we got a good show for you. Of course, the question is, why is it always Nebraska? Why is it always Nebraska that, it's a coaching problem? It's turnovers. 1 year it's special teams. Then we can't make a field goal. And then the defense has problems. And then we're the best 3-9 team of all time. And then we start off, 5-1. And then we go, to finish the year off, we don't know, right? And I feel as if we can go either these next 6, starting after the bye week, we go either 0-6 or these last 5 games. We can go 5-0. I wouldn't say 5-0, 4-1, or we can go 0-5, or we can go 1-4. So it's such a toss-up right now. Obviously, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because I know the guys. I know they want it. Regardless of what most people might say, I know they want it. And when you want something, you're going to take the action to achieve, your set goals, set desires. And that's something that the guys need to figure out. And this is the week to do that. I'm not saying, you go and beat them by, you go and beat Ohio State, right? I'm not saying that. But you put a good team, a good film, whatever. You put a good game together, I should say. Put a good game together, because at the end of the day, Ohio State, like Rule said in the press conference, I broke them down on my YouTube and just really just watch the game, watch the Oregon game. And I'll say it like this, Bach. I really believe if Ohio State and Oregon play 10 times, I think Ohio State probably wins 7 times. And I really think Ohio State is a better football team than Oregon. I think, you get beat on on three go routes. Denzel Burke is beat on 3 go routes. Ohio State's moving the ball. They're playing all right defensively. I think Oregon was probably I would say is probably the offense that or Ohio State would struggle with the most, because Ohio State is just big dogs up front. They don't really want the game to get spread out. They want the games within arm's reach, meaning they want to, load the box up and play their little coverages on the back end. But Oregon split them out, made a really light box, meaning in between the tackles, not a lot of people in there, right? So you can run the football super easy. And Oregon's a team that doesn't need a tight end to run the football, right? They heavy utilize the RPO and caught Ohio State in a lot of different situations, something that we don't do well enough. And I think that would help our run game, but that's a whole nother conversation, because that's a whole nother philosophy and play style that, Satterfield and Rule aren't I would say they're not, that's just not their MO. That's not their identity. But we didn't even start the show off with a quote card.
Yeah.
We got to start off with a quote card. What am I doing? I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I'm just saying, why is it Nebraska though? Let me know in the comments. But here, the quote comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. If you know Ralph Waldo Emerson, you know that this is a man of profound wisdom. Philosopher, I believe in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. I believe his prime years were maybe early or like 1900 something, right? So this is more than 100 years ago. He said this amazing quote, and there's a bunch of following quotes that go along with this, but I love this one. It says, "You become what you think about all day long. All day long, you think of whatever you think about." Because I read a book, and I can't wait to do these book reviews on here. I read a book called The Monk Who Sold Ferrari, and I'm gonna keep saying this book because it had such a profound impact on me, and I would definitely recommend it to whoever is kind of wants that like quote unquote inspiration or wants to live a better quality life and wants practical principles on how to go about that. He said this in The Monk Who Sold Ferrari. He said, this is Robin Sharma. He said, "Everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality." This is it's amazing. There's a proverb that says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." And that heart word right there, a lot of people, I mean, you think about it, you can't think in your heart, right? Your heart is a vessel that pumps blood to your, vital organs and throughout your whole body. You can't think in your heart. Well, the heart in this context is your subconscious mind. And so the subconscious mind is one of the things that you have to protect the most. Jim Rohn said it the best. He said, stand guard at the gate of your mind. So you're always 24/7. It's so costly to let one negative thought in, because that negative thought, compounds and creates another one and creates another one and creates another one. There's an idea that there's a theory, right? Of the quantum realm, right? And people think it's wonky. It's another thing we have cell phones, right? Bach, we got cell phones all throughout this building, right? And they're sending waves that we can't see, right? I can FaceTime my mom in Colorado, I can FaceTime my dad in Arizona, and they're gonna pick up right away, right? And these are these electronic waves that we don't see. Well, technically speaking, we are sending out electronic waves or frequencies continuously, and our thoughts actually have frequency. Our thoughts are energy. Okay, so if we have a pattern of 15 seconds where we're thinking negatively or worrying or having anxious thoughts, depression, whatever it is, and I take mental health very seriously. That's why I'm talking about this. If we have a 15-second gap of we're thinking negatively, right? Well, guess what? You're attracting now negative frequencies. It's an unseen thing, right? It gets a little wonky, right? But you just got to trust me. Try it. I mean, I wouldn't say try it, right? But if you just are conscious of it, you'll catch yourself like, wait, hold on, and then another thought came in, and then 60 seconds later, you just had, a whole 60 seconds, you had 4 negative thoughts come in. Now they're flooding in, right? But the best way to combat that is to flood in positive thoughts after positive thought right when one comes in, because once you let one sink from conscious to subconscious, that's when it gets dangerous. Because at a conscious level, we are talking right now, Bach, you feel the air, you feel all these different things. You might have a thought that popped up based on what I just said, and then, all these different things, and the people listening as well. But the moment something gets impressed upon your subconscious mind, it creates something. So you can almost look at the subconscious mind as a garden, right? And so that you're always planting something in your mind. You're never not planting something. It's like I always give the analogy of like you're a ship in the middle of the ocean. They're either floating, they're either drifting towards, the middle of the sea, or they're drifting back home, right? So you're never staying in place. You're never not creating something on a quantum field or in the garden of your mind. As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen, great book. It talks all about the garden of your mind, and that, if you plant something good, you'll get something good in return. If you plant something bad, you have to get something bad. It's the law. It is the law. You can't operate outside of it. It's like this. When you find out a principle or a pattern or a promise or a law of the of this world, the best thing to do, Bach, is to follow it as fast as possible, because it's working for you or against you 24/7, and it doesn't care if you don't know it, right? And so I would say that's my quote for sure, because this is something I'm passionate about. Because when I was playing football, there was a time where for the first 4 years of, I would say 5 years of my college career, my philosophy with football was I need to work as hard as I can, and then I'll be good, or then I'll believe in myself, right? And so my belief came from my work. And so and we were just talking off air about this. I had an injury with my wrist when I first came to Nebraska, right before I came to Nebraska. And I played my first 2021 year. First year I played here, I played it with a broken wrist, right? It re-broke. I had to play the whole year. I should have redshirted, of course, but it all works out, right? Because that's the mind frame I have. Everything works out. There's nothing in this world that can hurt me. There's nothing in this world that can come against me. Everything works out for me. I always win. I don't lose, right? So that's just, I have to say it out there. So it actually happens, right? And I'll continue to believe it, of course. But I played 21 with a whole broken wrist, and then 22, I got surgery on it again. So this is my third surgery on it, because I had two surgeries. They took a pin out, did some things. Doctor said I would never play again, right? He said, you have 0% chance. He even went as far back. I didn't have kids. I don't have kids at this time. He said, you won't be able to carry your son if you try to play football again. And I said, what are you talking about? And I laughed. When my mom told me when I woke up, I laughed, right? And so it caused me to, I couldn't work out as much. I couldn't train in the off season like I did prior, right? I was on bed rest. I was, active recovery with my wrist, right? So the only thing I could elevate is my mind. That was the only thing I could elevate. And I would look back and I realized what I was doing. I would sit in my room, I would be hooked up to a machine in my room for, doing it's called art wave therapy. Just some things, so I could get back to playing. I would sit in my room and I would just go into my imagination and just see myself playing. Like, dude gave me 0% chance. I just saw myself playing, consistently saw myself playing. And then it got to a point where I understand now that it got impressed upon my subconscious. It literally got impressed upon my subconscious. And I actually started to believe that I was going to play. And at first I would just say it, right? And then, there was a little bit of doubt, but I did it for like month after month after month, day after day after day. And I literally, at the end of it, I believed I was going to play, right? And so now I understand the power of that. I understand like, they say it takes 21 to 30 days to impress something, make a habit, right? And that habit, your habits are formed in your subconscious, right? And I will continue to say this word because I know the power in it. But it changed the way I approach the football. And that's what I was trying to say. It changed the way I approach football in a way where now going into my last year, I believed in myself because I believe in myself, because I decided, not because of my work, not because of, how many reps I did and this and this. I just believed because I just believed I could do it. Right. And it started from the mind first. It didn't start from the work. And so there's a great book called Think and Grow Rich. It talks all about, people working rather than people thinking to grow rich, and using your mind, using the power of the mind, using your imagination, using your subconscious, using faith, and all these different things to create money instead of just, working with your hands and stuff like that. And so I just went on a whole tangent, Bach, but the point of that was to, it's just like the quote says, everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. So if you look at your life right now, and I don't want to be invasive, but I want to show you that the principle works. There's certain things in your life, if you look at it close enough, and not, I would say, I'll get to that in a second. But if you look at it close enough, there's probably a lot of things that you realize, man, I created that. You know what I'm saying? But it's the moment where you look at it. I'll say this: in the moment when you look at it like that, and now you can really look at it. Now, once you look at it like that, I should say, you give yourself power. You give yourself power. Now you're taking the power back, Because if you were to say, oh yeah, such and such did this to me and this is why I'm in my situation, now you reframe that and say, nah, I'm in this situation because I created it. I thought this, I spoke this, I could have changed this, and I would be living in a different situation right now. So this is my journey of learning this stuff. And so this is so awesome because I had a mentor. He came up, I was talking to him and he's like, I was telling him, so I'm texting him back and he's like, hey, I texted him, hey, you got a book for me? And he texted me a book, right? And I already read it, but I didn't want to be disrespectful. This is a super powerful person,
Okay.
Right? So I didn't want to be disrespectful. So I said, okay, I'm on it, right? I already read it twice this year, right? And so I'm like, so I texted him 3 days later. I said, you got another one for me? And he gave me another one. And then I already read that one. And so I didn't want to be like, whatever, but I've gone through and I'm trying to read all these. And I told him, I said, look, no, he actually texted me. He said, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? Because I haven't told him. And I told him, I said, look, my goal this year is to read 100 books, right? This is like after football, I just needed something to be competitive within myself about. Usually it was about working out my body. I still work out and stuff, but not as much. I need some so now I just work on my mind, right? And so he said, what's your plan, execution and retention? He said, what's your plan for knowledge, retention, and execution? And so for retention, one of them is getting on a platform or calling someone or just telling a friend about the book. And it actually helps you soak in the information. So once I come on here, when I do my book reviews coming up, it'll actually help me retain the information, but also y'all will get something out of it as well. That's a long-winded segment, but I really hope y'all understand this because you look at all the great athletes. I mean, the Conor McGregors, the John Jones, I love UFC fighters because it's such an individual sport. And if you go into Israel Adesanya, if you go into their mental, how they believe in themselves, boy, what, it's so, oh my gosh, if they see in their mind's eye that they are going to get knocked out, boy, they're going to get knocked out.
Oh yeah.
They're going to get KO'd and they're going to look ugly. But even if you're not an athlete, if you we're in radio, man, we should believe in ourselves the most. And we should bear the fruits of that, of course. So that's what I got, man. That's what I got to start off. Sorry, a little long-winded, but I hope that that registered in someone's brains this morning or this afternoon.
Yeah, it's very good stuff. Power of positivity, right? So we will take a quick break here in the locker room. Be back right after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see mostly sunny skies and it will be breezy. We'll see an afternoon high around 78. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a continued breeze with a low around 46. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies return with a high around 65. I'm meteorologist Kyle Buck from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. F Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals and everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
Hello, this is Mary Pat Waite. I've had the privilege of working with Lincoln families as their realtor for more than 31 years, and I'm so proud to be associated with MP Dodge Real Estate. For me, your transaction is unique in its own way. My experience allows me to bring you trusted care and a really great outcome. My NP Dodge family shares the same client focus.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service, but it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your County Veteran Service Officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free, so visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Nebraska's public schools are key in developing the workforce and fostering community development. They prepare students for successful careers in every Nebraska industry and to serve as our future community and business leaders. Our public schools educate 90% of students in Nebraska. They connect students with the businesses and civic organizations that make our communities thrive. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
You're listening to The Locker Room with Chancellor Brewington and Mikey Daniel. Brought to you by App Foundation Repair on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here in the locker room on 93.7 The Ticket. Mikey Daniel out today, Chancellor Brewington in. I went through that first segment with some powerful stuff about your mind and what you can do to shape that for positive results. If you missed it, head to theticketfm.com after the show. We'll have a podcast up there. What do we got in line for the second segment, Chancellor?
Yeah, back to the title. Why is it always Nebraska? Why is it? I had an interesting conversation with a former teammate. Of course, my last year was 2022, if you heard in the last segment. I was talking with a guy who played both of my years. I won't say his name. It's just the locker room, but we can't be saying names, of course. I was talking with him, and he, we're talking about the Indiana game, right? And he said, why is it always Nebraska? I said, what do you mean? He said, man, we went through a 3-9 year where we didn't get blown out by nobody. It was tight game after tight game. You talk about Michigan State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Purdue. We blow out Northwestern. I mean, Ohio State was a tight game. They had C.J. Stroud back then. They had, I was a young Marvin Harrison too. That was when nobody knew who Marvin Harrison. Well, everyone knew who Marvin Harrison was, but that was before the infamous year to come. The next year, of course. This was the year of the Wisconsin. I mean, my gosh, Iowa. Did I don't know if I missed one. I missed one.
You guys played Minnesota that year?
Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah. The trips on the 1 yard line.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't do my package where I come in, but it's okay. It's okay.
Everybody loved that package.
And then 2022, it's like a repeat year, except for we get blown out by Michigan, and that's probably the game. That's probably the game that we get blown out by Michigan and Oklahoma. But every other game, I mean, we're up against at halftime. We're up against Illinois. We're up against Minnesota at halftime. We're up 14-0 or 13-0 against Wisconsin. We ended up beating Iowa. Thank goodness. That would have been a tragic end to a senior year, Bach. That would have been terrible. Dude, I don't think we played North. We beat Indiana. And then obviously the Oklahoma and Michigan. But man, you have all these opportunities to win these games, and it just doesn't go your way every single time. And it poses the question. It used to pose the question for me. It was like, man, is this team? Is there like a curse? Like not like an actual curse, right? But is there something around this program that like just prohibits us from winning tight games? And then even my time at Nebraska was frustrating because it was like, man, it seems like every team I'm on, man, it's just a coaching thing, right? It's all of a sudden, get a coaching change here, OC gets fired, new receiver coach, this and this. Next year, new OC, gets taken out Michigan game. There's never a time where I felt like I was at Nebraska and it was like just smooth sailing. We just got this figured out. It was always like, what's next? Like there's something going on. All of a sudden we can't make a field goal in 2021. The next year in 2022, like we just giving up mad yards every game. And, then our quarterback, we go to our third string quarterback. It's like it was always something. And then, 2023, the year I left, now it's the turnover battle, right? Now it's the turnover battle. Now it's the Jeff Sims story where, and then the Heinrich Harbor where he comes in and offense turns the ball over like, I want to say it's close to 20 times. Turnover, we don't get close to the turnover margin because we're just turning the ball over so much. You turn the ball over at this. Honestly, Bach, now I pose the question, if you turn the ball over the way we're doing right now, right, where obviously Raiola has, 3 picks, 6 picks total, right? 3 picks his last game, 1 versus Rutgers and obviously the UNI one and the Illinois one. We're not really turning the ball over. Obviously, Dante got 2 fumbles. But as far as that, we're not really turning the ball over. If we go in win the turnover margin like we're doing right now, last year, we probably want to run away with a lot of those games. And that's with less star power. That's with a worse offense. That's with a quarterback who you have no pass game with. but for some reason they could run the football, and obviously a lot of it was through the quarterback run. But I just look across the landscape, and I feel for the Nebraska fans. I understand it now. I understand it. As a player, I'm like, man, y'all need to whatever. And now I'm on the other side, more so media / fan, whatever you want to call it. And now I'm like, hey, I understand. I understand. I used to be so critical of fans when I first came up here, but I understand now. I understand. You look across the stage. I mean, Maryland, SC, just like real average teams, right, across the Big Ten. I look at it and you're like, dang, it doesn't seem like they have these type of struggles. It seems like they play all right football. It's never glaring like Nebraska. Like Nebraska's always going to be a headline. Like Nebraska can't do this. They can't get it done. Close game. They turn the ball over when it matters most. This isn't this, right? And you look across the nation, it's like, man, a team like Wisconsin, 4-2, on the uptrend. But there's no glaring issue year after year in and year out. There's always the issue, always this. And it posed the question, why is it Nebraska? Is it because you bring in a new coach, right? You bring a new coach, and the people who hired him get fired, right? And then you bring in a new head guy, right? That new coach brings a new staff, all these different things. So many new philosophies. But it's like, why is there a commonality of what's happening? And I think that's the question I can't pinpoint. I can't really answer it though. I can't put my finger on it and say it's this. Like, why are we losing these tight games? Why is there always problems special teams? Why is all these things happening? But it's a new coach and a new system and a 180 flipping system. Frost kind of ran more of a relaxed system and just let the guys, quote unquote, be professionals in the system. And now you got a real militant system and Coach Rule. It's super culture heavy. It's super, I would say, checklist, rule book, by the rule book, this, and this. We're going to develop you, be hard on you. And that was very opposite in Frost. Although I still think to this day, Bach, that you can win Frost way. I really do. And I don't know if Nebraska's the place though, but we saw at UCF, and I still think there's teams and there's cities that will thrive in Frost's culture. So I'm not in any way belittling or talking bad about him, but I definitely see a change in philosophies and culture, but the same things are happening. And maybe I'm jumping ship, maybe, we are 5-2. We are 5-2, but there's still underlying things. The Rutgers game, you're 99.7% of the time you lose that game, right? You skate by that game. I mean, there's no way you win that game. You play that game 10 times, you're losing. You're losing probably 10 times, right? You just get lucky. The football guys was with you. And then even like a UNI game or even like the start of a UTEP, it's just like these interesting things where there's a barrier and you can't get by it. Maybe the commonality is you need to flush all the players out that were in that culture and system, but that's not fair to the players. You got to find a way to win while they're still here. And that's something we talked about, me and Mike, is that the carryover from 2021, 2022, even 2020 and 2019, I would say the 2019 class and the 2020 class that are still there, the Ty Robinsons and the Giffords, Jamari Butlers, Nash, all them guys. Is it like you need to like be through with them because are those the ones holding you back? But it was happening before them, right? And so I don't know. I don't really know the answer. I don't know the answer. What do you think about that, Bach? Like, is it a thing? Is there a commonality at place? Is it maybe the lack of Nebraska has good resources too? So what's the commonality there?
Yeah, it's interesting, and some people want to dissect for years now. But it's I do think that it probably is just this just kind of the culture that's kind of set up here is that as soon as anything goes wrong, it can get pretty toxic, right? And it did this week. It feels kind of toxic right now, like you said, for a 5-2 football team. Understanding the 56-7 loss is what nobody wants, but at the same time, again, this is maybe part of the building process. Matt Rule lost 58-14, I think it was, in year 2 at Baylor. The next year they won 11 games. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the end of the world, but from staff to staff to staff over time, it just feels like the standard of the 70s, 80s, and 90s of never losing, more than 2 or 3 games a year. And that kind of set up this expectation. And so since then, just like anything less than that was not good enough. And regardless of how good you did, even the plain errors where you did win 9 and 10 games, you weren't those 90s teams. You weren't the 80s teams. You weren't closing in on championships. And so I think maybe just like Jamari said, is kind of once people start to get their head down, we talk about the power of the brain and
right,
and all
exactly,
that stuff.
exactly.
It might just be and it feels like, at one time I would have laughed at all this and then say, yeah, you just need a good coaching staff in here. And it's probably, that's part of it too. It's just that, it's just staff after staff after staff that can't get over this. And it just feels like right now too, like the Nebraska fan base is ready to bite right now, because those staff after staff, years after years of not being at that level, is adding up to their patience growing thinner.
You got 5 games. We got 5 games left. You got who we got this? Ohio State. Then you got UCLA. Then you got SC. Then you got Wisconsin. Then you got Iowa. 5 games left. What do you got? What do you got these next 5 games? What do you got us going? And you've been right. Every loss you predicted, you've been right. And I've been harsh. I've been, man, but what are we doing? Both Jakes at the station predicting losses, right?
That's right.
But you end up being right every time. So what do you have these next 5 games?
Well, I think Ohio State and I think Indiana might be. That's what we might have to learn about Indiana is maybe they really are a top 10 team. And maybe Nebraska's just not ready to match up with top 10 teams. And unfortunately, I think you've got that with Ohio State this week. After that, especially the defense. I mean, the defense, we'll see what they do this week, but you have to think, 5 out of 7 games they've held opponents under 10 points. That's still, that's hard to do.
Right.
So, they've got something that's clicking over there. And I think after Ohio State, it does clear up for you. Wisconsin's looking pretty good. Iowa and USC maybe look a little bit more beatable, after this past week than previous weeks. And UCLA, you've got to win that one. We can say UCLA is better. They got this, that, they got that. That's the home game. That's to achieve the bowl game. So I think you have to at least win that. And maybe you can win, out of those final 3 games, USC, Wisconsin, at Iowa, and it's at USC. You could pull off 2 wins there. That's a very successful season and kind of can get you over that, this, whatever these 2 weeks are. And I do think Ohio State's probably going to be a pretty tough week.
And your total would be?
So I would say probably, I think they can get to 7.
7?
Yeah.
7. And that's not bad. I had 9 and 3. Do we get 3 win or what do we need? We need 4. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, to get to 9. If they drop this week, they have to win out.
They got to win out.
Yeah.
You're most likely going to, 3% chance right now. ESPN has a 3%. You gotta come out swinging and be damn near perfect.
Kennesaw State was a 25.5 point underdog last night. They beat Liberty.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They hadn't won a game yet. It was their first win. And Liberty was undefeated. So it's college football.
Listen, it can happen. It can happen. And what better week? It's just I would just say the vibe this week with all these things coming out. I just think for me, it's just been tough to really be super optimistic. And usually I'm on here saying something crazy, right? Usually I'm coming on here saying, 40-17 win Nebraska, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. But now it's just the Satterfield comments, and the lack of, productivity from the receivers. And then, the defense has a lull. And you're like, where's this team? Where is this team? Right? Because I feel like it was like you saw it. I feel like it could have happened any week. You know what I'm saying? It could have happened Purdue week, but it just didn't, right? We end up we match 0-0 at halftime with Purdue, score 7 points in the first quarter. Then, we score 14 points within 30 seconds or something like that, right? So you break away from Purdue, but it's even in that game, you're like, are we going to lose this game? Right? And then Rutgers game next week, and you're like, okay, man, are we going to lose this one? Right? And then obviously the Indiana game, you go ahead and lose. And I feel like we were eventually going to, you could talk about bend, don't break. I knew we were eventually going to break. I just didn't know when. I wanted it to be Ohio State, I thought we could. I hope we could just skate by and whatever. But I said after this Indiana game, you are who you are. You are who you are.
Yeah, and I do think too, in prognosticating wins down the line, I do think they're gonna have to win ugly. I think that's kind of, like you said, that's kind of who they are. So when they do win, it's gonna have to be some ugly wins. But you'll take those. All right, let's take a quick break here in the locker room. One final segment after the break on 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. F Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
Have you been told by your physician that your testosterone level is fine, but you don't feel fine? Get a second opinion. If your testosterone level is 200, 350, even 500, and you still have symptoms, come to Limitless Male. We treat the person and the symptoms, not the number. Our mission is for you to feel optimal again. So if you're tired all the time, no energy, brain fog, muscle loss, nothing left in the tank, get your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
This is State Senator Carolyn Bozin. Public safety is important in our community. I have a proven record of protecting public safety. I have prosecuted perpetrators of domestic violence, advocated for the rights of child abuse victims, held sexual predators accountable, and fought to keep drug traffickers off our streets. This is Senator Carolyn Bozin, and I will continue to fight to keep our community safe. Vote Carolyn Bozin on November 5th. Paid for by Bozin for Legislature.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street. When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Tanner's Bar and Grill is the best place in Lincoln for a casual get-together, best place to watch a game, and the best for pre- and post-game. Catch college and NFL football as well as the volleyball action this season at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. What's better than wings, cold beer, and a Husker win? Enjoy great food and drink specials every day and tons of TVs to catch all the action. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill.
You're listening to The Locker Room with Chancellor Brewington and Mikey Daniel. Brought to you by App Foundation Repair on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here in the locker room on 93.7 The Ticket. Chancellor Brewington in studio. I did want to get your thoughts on this text that we have. Husker P sends in, we got to get rid of the Frost kids. You kind of mentioned that earlier on. Do you think that could be something, just kind of a losing culture that's sticking around? Or what do you think about that as somewhat of a Frost kid, I suppose you're saying?
Right. I don't believe that. I think it's, I would say I understand from the outside looking in. I understand that. And we were just talking about the power of the mind. You can go back and listen to that. I think I got to be careful. No, I don't get, I mean, I don't think it's, it's the Frost kid. I don't believe that. But I will say you got to continue. And, there will be a few guys left over after this year, but you got to continue to, I would say, combat what's been already instilled in them. Because it was prevalent when I was there. It was obvious. It was a thing where I didn't understand it, right? Because it had happened before I got there. And then when I got there, I'm like, wait, is this whatever? And then at one point in 2022, I caught myself. We were up 10-0, or it was 10-0 against Minnesota. We were up 10-0 Illinois, and then we ended up losing like 31-10, right? And then we were up 10-0 against Minnesota, and we ended up losing like 28-17 or something like that, right? And so it was the same, the Minnesota week, when we were up at halftime, I was like, oh boy, and so that's the thought, right? Yeah. That's the thought. It's like, oh boy, like what, like, are we going to whatever, instead of kill, I don't lose. Like, we're going to kill everything. Like, and that was, I feel like we lost. That was like the fire we lost in the Frost regime. And that was not, and I just say Frost because he was the head coach, of course, but I would say there was a fire inside the organization, inside the facility, to where, like, I don't think someone had the boldness to just say like F it, like, we're going to kill everything. Right. And yeah, like, I'm sure people said it, but like someone who just embodied that and believed that no matter what the scoreboard was, if it was 0-0 or, 10-0, we was up, we was down, whatever. And so I think some of that, maybe in the back of a lot of those guys' minds, or it might be completely, washed out and there's a new factor in place. And maybe it's, a coaching issue, whatever. But I don't think you have to get rid of the Frost kids. I got a question asked, and I appreciate whoever was that on the text line. There was a question asked to me about the offense. And someone asked me, what do you think Nebraska's biggest issue is on the offense? I actually got asked this right before the show, and he went on to say, and can it be fixed this year, or will it take an off season? And this is how I answered. I'll be honest. This is how I answered. I said, I would say play calling / coaching. And then I would say, you're throwing so much and receivers aren't winning consistently. Okay. So now the numbers of Raiola, are kind of going down a little bit. Why? Because receivers aren't consistently winning, and you're throwing, 28 to 35 times a game. Okay. And then I said the O-line play has taken a drop. Right. And and this is no shade on the O-line. I said, but you're putting them in hard situations. I just said the receiver's not winning consistently, and you're dropping back to throw a lot. Right. So you're putting O-line in very, very compromised position consistently, right? So now defenses it's not really that hard to scheme for Nebraska. I mean, you scheme for Dylan Raiola in the pass game, throwing them a lot of looks. I'm going to drop 8. I'm going to do a lot of stuff, confuse them, play man. I mean, look like it's man, play zone, inverted 2, do a lot of, exotic stuff. But as far as like, you don't have to do anything too crazy to stop this offense, right? You kind of just throw different looks at Dylan Raiola to confuse them. But now it's getting to a point where you can just play man on the receivers and they're not getting off press, right? And then, the second part of the question was, can it be fixed this offseason? Or can it be fixed this season, or does it need to be fixed this offseason? And this is interesting for me. I ain't gonna lie, because I thought the fix needed to happen Indiana week. I don't know how you just go, and most likely lose to Ohio State, and then you got like either you fix Ohio State, right, or you get in a double loss situation, assuming you lose in the same fashion. Let's say it's a 35 to, let's say it's a 42-10 game against Nebraska, and that's not wild to say, right? And then you go in UCLA and you try to fix a UCLA game, right? And then you experiment UCLA game. Well, now you got 3 games left in the year, right? You got SC and Wisconsin, Iowa, and they're not scrubs, right? They're well-equipped teams that can beat you at any given Saturday, right, or any given Friday, whatever time you're playing. But no, and then then the question poses like, okay, if you can't fix it this season, what do you do in the offseason? And I'm not looking too far ahead. I'm just answering the question. This offseason, you got to get rid of what the problem is. And if you think, and it's what you think though, because you really know at the end of the day, in your heart of hearts, we talk about the heart. In your heart of hearts, you know what the problem is. The thing that keeps you up at night, and you say, man, I'm avoiding this issue, but this is the problem. And it might be, it might be a coach, right? It might be a player it might be a coach that you like. It might be a player that you love, right? But they're not getting the job done. And like Mikey always says, this is a business of what have you done for me lately? And it's as harsh as it is, this is just how it is. This is just how it is. And this is how it goes. Because at the end of the day, man, if we get up on here and we're talking Bach, and all of a sudden I fumble my words and I'm, putting out terrible content, DP gonna call me in the office and be like, look, man, maybe this ain't for you. Maybe you ain't cut out, right? Maybe you ain't cut out for this. But and this goes for any job. This isn't just like football. Like this is in life. Like if you're not putting out quality work, you're gonna get re-examined. And if they can find a better position for you, they're gonna do that. Why? Because they gotta cover their tails at the end of the day. And boosters want, and people around this city want to throw money at Nebraska. They want, so you got a phenom quarterback. You got to give them a reason why. You got to give them a reason to be hopeful for. And if you can finish out the year, get at least 2 wins, right? Get at least 2 wins. Play Ohio State good, right? Give some people around the city some hope.
Well, there you go. Great stuff from the locker room today. If you missed any part of it, head to theticketfm.com. Shortly, we'll have the podcast page up and running from today's episode. That'll wrap it up for the locker room. One more episode tomorrow from 1 to 2, but on the block coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
Hi, this is State Senator Carolyn Bozin. Education is a cornerstone for strong, vibrant communities. I voted for the largest investment in education in Nebraska history. As a state senator, wife, and mom, I believe Nebraska is a great place to work and raise a family. My husband Reggie and I are local family business owners and understand the valuable role of education in growing our community. This is Carolyn Bozin, and I will continue to support education in the legislature. Vote Carolyn Bozin on November 5th, paid for by Bozin for Legislature.
Hey everyone, Lance here with Black Label. We specialize in creating custom crafted decks, pergolas, patio covers, and more. Plus, our retractable screens, gazebos, and patio enclosures create the ultimate outdoor retreat. With over 50 years of combined experience, we're not just builders, we're creators of unforgettable memories.
Call them today at 402-730-6333 or visit blacklabelbuilt.com